Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic, and today we are taking a closer look at the Xiaomi Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus 5G, the next generation of Xiaomi's popular mid-range phone with a 200 megapixel sensor. We'll see how it performs in photography based on around 200 sample photos from snowy mountain landscapes to a cold, sunlit winter in Prague. Let's get started. I suggest we start with an overview of technical specifications. Here are some examples from the main lens, main sensor. It has 200 megapixels and 23 millimeters. And obviously that one would be the most important part of this mobile phone because you'll be using it most of the time. Here are some examples of the Prague at night or dogs in different portrait positions. And what I want you to see is just to get an idea what to expect. We'll see many more examples in next parts of this video. So these would be the mountains of Moravia and a couple of very complicated, complex lights. So once again, this is the main lens, main sensor with 200 megapixels. Then please do not overlook the ultra-wide lens, ultra-wide sensor. Of course, that would not be that important as the main one, but still clearly from these shots you can see that you are able to get pretty good results, pretty good scenes. And what should be mentioned though, that it has only 8 megapixels, which is quite important because obviously 8 megapixels compared to 200 megapixels means that if you zoom to these shots in your computer, you'll see that there's not that many pixels there, that the quality is not that exciting, but still, clearly this is a part of the mobile phone you should be using because it can really create very valuable shots, like here. We mentioned that there is no extra telephoto lens, which means that you'll have to zoom from the main lens, main sensor. What does this mean? It means that you can go only up to 30, starting from here, from 0.6, so we can go up to 30. Obviously, the quality will be going down, but if you see these examples, we can go pretty far without losing dramatically the quality. You can see this is from 0.6 going up to the Prague Castle. Yes, now it goes down. Obviously, when you jump to 30, you can't really use this, but it's interesting to see how the 200 megapixel sensor can cope with these extreme crops. One more example, one more scene. Again, we can zoom towards the Prague Castle from a bigger distance, again going up. This is still pretty good quality, and once we touch 2030, obviously the quality goes down, but still, if you see how far are we, it's still pretty impressive. A small note, please do not overlook that function called Ultra HD. It means that if you want, you're able to ask the camera to provide the full resolution, meaning you're able to shoot into 200 megapixels. You won't be using it often, but sometimes it can make sense. Like here, if you see the Czech flag, I am able to zoom. Look at this, it's really very far, but I can actually get pretty good results. I am not saying you should be using that often. The only thing I am trying to point out is that sometimes it might really be useful. Actually, one of the examples of the shots where it makes sense is right here, and you can clearly see if I really crop a lot, if I zoom to really huge details, so many pixels, there's so much information hidden in the shot that exactly at that scene I might consider using it. Do not use it often, but sometimes, yes, it can really help you a lot. You won't be able to find fancy stuff like Leica's filters, but still, there is a nice collection of filters which can get quite interesting touch to your shots. Well, I am really not a big fan of these things, so I will not be using it, but once we are sort of overviewing all the key functions, it's probably worth mentioning that you are able to use them should you wish. What you should, on the contrary, use very often is portrait mode. In my experience, it is something which people quite often overlook, and it can really deliver a big differences. Look at this. This is a normal shot, and here I turned on the portrait mode. So the background is blurred, and you can recognize that this shot is much more interesting because you have the feeling of space in it. Of course, you should not overdo it because you are able to set how much of blur you want, and if you overdo it, it can really be weird and bizarre. So do not do it too much. But when you do not overdo it, you can get quite nice shots. And do not forget, please, that you can again clearly see it here. If it's not there, if the blur is not there, the photo is not exciting. Once at least you are able to get a little bit of it, it's much better. Do not forget that portrait mode is a really important tool. But of course, the key point is to find amazing light like here. Now let me take you for a short trip to Prague, and I was really lucky because we got sunshine and we got freezing temperatures, so the night was really interesting. And I have to admit, please do go to Prague, do come to Prague, do visit us, but this is not a typical winter weather. But I was lucky, as I mentioned, so the weather helped the photos. So the colors were clear and the light was really helping to create the atmosphere of this amazing city. By the way, this is, as you can probably recognize, ultra-wide lens, giving a lot of space to the frame. A bit of light, a bit of sunshine, and the famous view of Prague Castle. We have already seen this when I was showing you the zooming. And I have to apologize because I'm really going in a huge pace. I am really going through a lot of shots. And sometimes you write to me asking me, why don't you stop a little bit? We want to have some time to compare the shot, to enjoy them. But I just really want you to see as many photos as possible within a time frame, so you're able to get a feeling from this mobile phone. Some more interesting light. And now let me take you to the Old Town Square, which is probably one of the most famous parts of Prague. And if you've seen some of my previous reviews, you know that I love night photography. You know that I love so-called blue hour, which is exactly here. This is the time roughly 20 minutes after the sun sets, where the sky is blue and you have probably 15 minutes to take shots like that, when you're really able to get a lot of blue and amazing colors into the frame. And now we move to the mountains of Moravia, and once more I was really lucky because the weather was amazing, so I am able to show you these fantastic mountains at the border between Czech Republic and Slovakia. And again, yes, of course, it would really be useful to have a dedicated telephoto lens. It's not here, so we have to rely on the 200 megapixel sensor. It does deliver reasonable shots, but I have to be frank with you, it would really be much more interesting if I was able to zoom with a lens and sensor. But doesn't matter. Again, we are talking about a mobile phone which is not expensive, and some more examples, some more shots, and you see that these are really amazing results thanks to the fantastic light, fantastic colors, fantastic everything. I was really quite satisfied. Some more shots, trees covered with ice, and let's see at least a little bit of greenery here hidden in the trees, and my dog. And once again, dog, sky, trees, mountains, a lot of sunshine. I was really lucky that the sun was allowing me to take these really interesting shots. So clearly, you can see that if you're lucky enough to have great weather, that mobile phone will support you. And this is one of the most important things, that you can really rely on it. If you are lucky to have a great light, you just won't be disappointed. And I guess you might be suspicious of my sentence that you might not be disappointed, but I think it's very fair. This is not flagship mobile phone. This is a reasonably affordable mobile phone. But still, if you know how to work with this, if you know how to find great light and great scenes, you just, well, you guess it, you won't be disappointed, because the results are actually better than I expected them to be. There are some limits. There is no telephoto lens, as you know. Of course, the processing of images might be better compared to flagships, but still, If you see these shots, you'll probably really like them. And we can finish the photo part of this review with these amazing scenes full of sunshine, trees and water. And finally, as always, let me show you a couple of examples of video clips. I am really not good at evaluating videos, so the best thing I can do is to show you examples, to show you clips I made during my testing. And well, it's up to you to say what you think. And all these videos were, of course, recorded in 4K, and I was quite satisfied. I quite liked it. We are safe to say that the quality of video is in line with that class of mobile phone. So it's a mid-range phone. It's relatively affordable, so the video just fits into its category. So, thank you so much for your attention. I hope you got a bit of inspiration. Take care. I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.